and I'm really delighted to have in the studios, Darryn, David Amaneddine. I think I did pretty well there, who's the MD, the Managing Director of AAA City Removalists, a great guy, great community leader and a great businessman. David, thanks for joining us this morning.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, I've known you for a number of years and I've observed you and we've had a good relationship, but it's become more and more involved over the last couple of years as I've been able to get to know you a lot more and so on. And there's a lot to learn about you. You have great values, your staff. I was very fortunate to sit in your office, in your own personal office, actually with your daughter, and we talked about a whole range of things, which again inspired me to ask our producer, Darryn, to have you come and talk to us about a whole range of things. But we'll do the easier or part of it first, and that is talk about Removalist, talking about doing removals and different things like that, because it's really complex.
It most definitely is. A lot of people think, and I think the thought pattern behind it, that you just get a couple of guys in a truck, load up the goods and off you go. It's now become a lot more complex because we're not moving things, we're moving people. And people are very intricate, in particular after COVID, with the emotional stress of people, the value that they place. There's a lot of breakups, a lot of issues and dramas, and there's questionable characters in the industry. So now people are doing a lot more research on who they choose and who they invite in their home to conduct their relocation.
Well, that's a really good point, because what do you look for? Like, for example, you go to company A or company B and they say price A, price B. What do you need to consider? Because it is really complex.
We live in a day and age where research has become very easy. The computers that we carry, our phones in front of us, are more powerful than what got them to the moon many years ago. And to have a single dimensional projection to people, look at my website, I'm the best, is not sufficient. I think people can read through that. A little small example, we've got well over 5,500 reviews on Google, Product Review, Facebook, and on Trustpilot, just to name a few. And we're rated between 4.5 to 4.7. That's essentially saying we're 90 to 94% rating of genuine reviews out there. So it's not what we say, it's what the marketplace says. But further to that, what people can now read is what the positives, what the negatives are, and how we respond to try to sort these issues out. It's not just for removers, it could be for anything that you research.
I think that's a very good reflection and a good takeaway just from what you've said about people and businesses. I want to move from DY to Central Coast. What should I be considering? Because you're right, people think you get a truck, you get two guys or two people, and you just pack and off you go.
Yeah, sure. Look, I know DY well. I went to Manly High School, which is located in Cromer, DY. So we're also buddies, maybe a few years different. Just a few years difference, that's all.
Just a few.
Just a few. But look, first and foremost, you do your research, the credibility of the company. But you know something? We've lost our humanity. How many times do you sit down with someone and you think, you know what, I like these people. But we don't go with our gut feeling. We go with, yeah, g'day, how are you? We'll do this price, and if you pay cash, and it's not right. You don't feel comfortable, but we're blinded by dollars and cents, whereas it should not be that. It should be about the connection, the feeling, what they do in the marketplace, and then from there should be questions asked. You're in DY, that's a very busy place, very difficult parking. Can we get a look at your place? Do you mind if we ask you for your pickup address just to get a visual on the outside? Moving to Central Coast, that's pretty straightforward. Are their prices transparent? Can you get that in writing from them of what they advised you? How quick are they to respond to you? And how important are you on that telephone when you're talking to them? These are so important, these factors.
Very interesting there, David, if I may. Just talking through that there is that I was working in facilities management, and we had a trial exercise of where a remote provider was going to bring in a portable generator. So we're talking about 150 kilowatts, so not small, big table truck top. And so we didn't give them the time of day. They knew it was going to be on the Saturday. And the good thing there is we saw them during the week come by and do the recce. So just like you're saying, a good organisation is going to be prepared for what they know you need as a client. So it's really interesting that you say that you would go and do a recce on site to actually make sure that the truck can fit and those sorts of things, and you might need an extra little truck to ferry up the driveway to the big truck, because I've seen that happen before with removals as well. What do you think there, Jim?
Oh, I agree. That's what I'm trying to ask, because what happens, we seem to be very transactional in certain things. Company Y says $1,000, company B says, $650. Well, natural tendencies, I'll go for $650. But I know nothing about what that really means. Am I covered for insurance? And you say, yes, of course you are. There's so many things up and downstairs. Do they unpack the computer gear? Do they put it back? Do they put it in the rooms? That's what I'm trying to say. So when you get a price for a service, there are so many things that people need to be, and you're right about the consistency. How long have they been in business?
Yeah, most definitely. If I just go back to Darryn, one thing that you were saying, in the vast majority, removal quotes can be done via the phone. Modern day technology is phenomenal. It's mainly the main big intricate moves that we attend for on-sites. We've been blessed to book out all our trucks on a very regular basis.
And you got plenty of them.
Thank you, absolutely. And you are absolutely right. When we first started in business, it's all about we're the best, we're the cheapest, we'll beat any price. But once you get past the elementary stage, it's no longer about price, and you don't need to sell yourself based upon that. Not after 140,000 relocations. Now, what we start doing to
Sorry, is that how many you've done?
We've moved 140,000 people in 17 years, and that's an absolute easy guarantee. We were doing 298 relocations a week in our heyday. I strategically, along with my wife and daughter that's heavily involved in the business, brought that down to about 120, 100 bookings a week. Why? It stopped being about trying to make money and get rich at the expense of people, and it started becoming, you know what? We're being held to account. This is now about decency, integrity. If I want to be able to give a business over to my family and to our successive generations and have people that have got jobs and career jobs, I need to look after people properly, and that means we need to come down in the amount of money that we make and the amount of relocations that we do. And it actually has been one of the most wonderful decisions we've made.
On that note, we're going to go to a break. Thank you for sharing that, because you've really highlighted, and I know Darryn echoes the same thoughts as I do here. Thank you for sharing the importance of integrity in business. You're on Alive 90.5 with Darryn and Jim on Spotlight, and it's been a real delight to have our good friend
And David's got a song.
Okay, tell us about it, David.
Introduce a song for us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Look, there's a lot of songs. I've got a playlist of about 290 songs that I listen to. I'm very selective what I allow to go through my ears and to build up my inner man of the person I want to be. This song here, I think, espouses everything that I am. I've always been different, and it's not an arrogant different. Let's just go back to decency. Let's go back to really, being at ease with being different, being creative, and helping the planet out and helping mankind out.
And here it is, Mike Tyler with Different.
Alive 90.5.
It's 18 minutes past 11. Alive 9.5 Spotlight with Jim and Darryn.
David, we're just talking through the break with regards to some really critical aspects associated with the concept of removing or moving from one place to another. Safety of all my personal things is important. Walk me through how that's critical in this process.
Look, most definitely. A lot of people show you the end product of what you get. I think it doesn't start with the end product. It starts off with the internal product. It's a decency, integrity of the leaders and who they employ. Once you get your team right on the inside, and we've got between 8 and 12 staff at any given time, which is double industry standard for our office and the removal industry. The reason why we do that, we put industry experts that look after, train, and can obviously quote correctly on jobs. We've got guys that train operations that can make sure chain of responsibility is done correctly. And then the end product is the guys that we choose to get out and do the removal process have been trained of the same ethos and background to us. And then when we get them to go do a move, we've actually entrusted them knowing they are part of our family and our children rather than someone that we've just employed off the street. And that's where that kicks in.
We talk about, and thanks for sharing, that's really important, because I need to have confidence that those things are going to be done, because it is emotional for a whole host of reasons, moving from one place to another, sometimes good, sometimes bad. So you try to cover that experience, and thank you for that. Insurance, pretty complex, and I'm not asking you to go into the detail, but that's something that our listeners should be looking at when they're moving.
Most definitely. Look, the ACCC website, Department of Fair Trading, they're quite clear on that. We are moving second-hand furniture. And even though they have been bought from quality places, unfortunately, it is second-grade material in a lot of the furniture that's now being made these days. As a consequence, we've got trucks with strong shock absorbers going over potholes and speed humps and navigating around traffic, people jumping in front of them. We use very thick above industry standard blankets that definitely cover. We also offer to customers bubble wrap, which gives an insurance for their product up to the value of $1,000. And prices are between $5 and $50 on, for example, wrapping a TV. That now gives you peace of mind that that TV's been wrapped up for a small added extra that's optional that can be covered. Further to that, we have Allianz Australia through cards that has selected us as one of the premium removalists, and we are part of AFRA, the Australian Furniture Removers Association. They do insure our clients. For about $300, just under $300, we'll give you $30,000 cover from start to finish, and you've got 45 days to claim even after the move should something go wrong.
That's amazing, Darryn. I didn't know any of that with regards to it. What other things do you think our listeners should know with regards to moving from one place to another? I mean, you've been most enlightening with what you've said. What other little things there that might be worthwhile for us?
Sure. Look, I think the most important thing is pre-planning prior to the move, seeking advice. We send off a lot of emails to our customers once they're booked in. We're in constant conversation with them. We send over emails, what they need to check, their checklists. We do their disconnection, reconnection form free of charge of all their utilities. We've got free box service that we can give over to them, and they just hand it back after 4 weeks, full refund, no cost to that. We give them other frequently asked questions. These are emailed out without them even asking. Further to that, 1 to 2 days prior to the move, we have a quality control section that no other removal company, I believe, in the whole of Australia does that. And the reason why I paid to do this, I don't want to set my boys up to fail, nor myself up to fail. Sometimes customers forget to tell us things or are not advising us of things. And once we get those last-minute details, we now get personalities of the right guys for those jobs, the right truck, and the right kind of gear for that job. Second thing I will say is so important, the customer gets some sleep. And when the boys come in to do the job, just having trust that the boys can do the job rather than having to be a superior letting us know what needs to be done. Of course, they can advise us of what they're hoping to see out of it, but the professionals are there. They need to sit back and let the boys do the job.
You clearly have an eye for detail and you have standards that you follow, and that's really important because I wouldn't want to know that if we were moving tomorrow, it gets cancelled and it's going to be 1 or 2 days later and I've got to go to an interstate. That really
Indeed. And a question for you, David, if I may. So say you've got a new apprentice coming on board. How do you train them to look after the customer like you've shared with us this morning? How do you train someone new in your business?
For sure. Look, we've got a lot of internal processes. We've got an operations manager that specialises in, and he's a national trainer in a previous company. He's been with me for 6 years approximately, and his full-time job, I think you've met him, Ronnie.
Yes. His
full-time job is to train our staff intricately from decency, COR, responsibility, safety, and it's not what the law tells us, it's what we want safety for our people. And that overrides and overarches any given law just to protect us on our side. Further to that, in the past we've engaged, I don't know if you know Dr. Nikolai Popov, we've engaged him and he's a behavioural therapist. He's a person that's been able to teach us a unified company how to grow with one identity. And what that's done for us, we can't put it into practice. We can't even give you a financial or monetary value how much closer that's brought us, because what that's done, it's brought in the drivers. They were off work for 3 days and they were shown precisely what it is that we do, what they do. We heard their problems, they heard our problem. We navigated solutions, we valued them, we fed them, and we had entertainment for them, we played games. And they realised that we are human, they're human, and we actually had a unified message going forward. And this is something that's so critical. Putting a fleet off work for 1 day was a very expensive task, but the money that was made out of it in terms of the unified message going forward could not be quantified.
Well, thanks for sharing with us how you operate your business and who you are. And that's where I want to turn our attention now on Spotlight. You have been actively involved for many, many years in many organisations. One in particular is the Parramatta Chamber, which you've supported in a whole range of areas. Tell us about that journey.
Look, I've been told by our marketers for many, many years, David, you sell the most unsexy product. You need to give it some kind of a face that's different. No one wakes up and says, you know what, Friday night, let's go move. It's something you don't think about. And how do you make something connect on a deeper level? And I care for people. It's not a facade. I respect mankind. I respect humanity. I respect spirituality, which overarches religion, and that's what's divided the world. And they said to me, Dave, you need to get involved in the Chamber of Commerce, which I was lucky to become a board member on. And what took place when I entered there, I noticed something that many people were running around and trying to meet people and pass over their business cards, which is what you do. And I realised there are so many people better than me, smarter than me. Is this the most successful way? And then I actually changed that. I tweaked that. And it's as if it was a message from above. Rather than going and seeing what you can get, can you change that to see what you can give? And that was a dividing point. I kid you not. The moment I changed from what I can get out of this to what I can actually give, life just took a different turn in every aspect, internally and externally.
That's a fantastic message. I've got to congratulate you, both Joan and I, for sharing that publicly. Let me ask you this. You've been involved and sponsored the awards, the wonderful Wasabi Awards. Can you tell our listeners one of the years in which there was someone that really inspired you, without saying their name, of course, but what they did or touched you with in terms of what business they are in?
Look, every year I meet different people, and they're all special in their own unique way. This year I met a person that was really warm, and he won the award, the AAA City Removalist Award for Business Leadership and Excellence. And just shaking his hand, looking into his eye, he would not let go. There was that man-to-man, that human-to-human connection. He just kept on saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we actually touched each other, hugged each other, walked down the platform, and it was not an award. It was an exchange of two human beings valuing each other. And that's what it's all about.
I think that's a fantastic takeout. David, thank you for being with us today. It's been a real pleasure. I can't believe how quickly, time goes with each of our interviews, because they're all so special. You're an amazing person. We've really been delighted to have you on Spotlight with Darryn and myself. We hope to have you back and to tell more of the story of your business and also about you and your wonderful family.
You're very kind. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you, Darryn. You're an accomplished person in yourself. Jim, I don't need to say anything about you. I think the world knows who you are. It's been my pleasure, and I'd love to be of service to anyone that does want to move.
Thank you, and have a great morning.
Thank you.
Alive 90.5.